Okay, hello, welcome everybody back to the Good Bit Podcast. Welcome in. My name is Chris. This is Aron, and the boys are back in town for another episode of the Good Bit Podcast. Our first proper episode back since last week when we did a return episode, an introduction to season 2. Aron, since that introduction and the great feedback that we've had, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling so positive, Chris. All these comments, it's just so nice to see you all. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
What theme tune do we have?
Well, I was thinking
what is just played?
What is just played? Well, I like the idea that we have an anthem, right? So for the last 4 years, it has been the same anthem, and it has been my mates in the band, and they do the song. It's it's called Seven Sounds, and I love it, right? I did, however, have an inkling to use the original Good Bit song. So I don't know, maybe a mixture of both.
A mixture of both.
A mashup.
Oh yeah. I remember. I don't know. Maybe bring back the old.
We sat in this room, I think that I'm sitting in anyway, and we
clicked through all the free music that was available to us.
And we were like, that one sounds kind of arty. So maybe we'll go with that for a bit. We'll dip in and out. I don't know. So for those who missed,
I'm getting a phone call. I might have to take this.
Take it if you want.
So sorry.
All right.
That was the GP. I had booked a call appointment for 3:30, but he was early.
It's a bit early.
I know, right?
I'll tell you what, I'll leave that bit in where you went, I'm getting a phone call.
Well, why not? Keep it raw.
Keep it raw. What we were going to talk about was, if you missed last week's introduction episode, basically, if we sound a little bit different, it's because this is a little bit different. We are sitting in our own homes, recording remotely, and we have figured this out that on my other podcast, The Wrestling Connection, with me and Glenn every Sunday. Any wrestling fans out there, we chat about wrestling, and we've done it like this for 40 weeks in a row. It's gone well, so now there's no reason why we can't introduce the Good Bit to this. And this new format here in chapter 2 of the Good Bit season 2 is going to be one film an episode. I keep going to say one film a week. It might not be every week. Every couple of weeks, maybe, quite frequent, as much as we can. And it'll be one film chosen by either Aron or myself, or a guest that we have on. And then we just watch the film. It can be a classic film. It can be a new film. It can be an exclusive. It can be a world-renowned cinema blockbuster. It can be anything. And we will do it old school Good Bit fashion, where we don't chat about it until we hit record. And this week's first introduction film, chosen by my good close personal friend Aron D, was Raiders of the Lost Ark from 1981, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring very handsome Harrison Ford.
Very handsome. Peak Ford, I think.
Peak Ford, do you think?
I think so.
Between Empire and Jedi.
Yips.
Yes. So why, tell the people and tell me, because I'm interested, why was Raiders your choice? I know you kind of talked about this week. I know you kind of touched on this last week, but tell us, why did you choose Raiders?
We're rusty. We are rusty.
Give us a bit.
You've been podcasting all bloody year.
I've got no excuse. Yeah, I've got no excuse.
I'm rusty. Why did I choose Raiders of the Lost Ark? Just a gut feeling, and you got to go with your gut, especially in 2021. That's what I say. No, I don't know. I wanted to watch over the Christmas period, didn't end up doing it, so I wanted an excuse to sit down and make my family watch it, which they did for a bit, and then they left, and it was just me. And I think this is bad that I don't actually know this, but I think it's on my top 15 films of all time. Yeah,
could be.
I think, and Indiana Jones definitely is. Whether it's Raiders, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was a big part of my childhood. Very nostalgic for me, and I think that's a good way to start the year. Just
Absolutely.
Absolute classic to start us off. I mean, it's better than starting the first season like we did with Batman versus Superman.
Yes, a film that we both were very lukewarm on. I was definitely lukewarm. You were more like, I hated that. So
I did hate that.
So you mentioned a film of your childhood then. So tell me your earliest and sort of like fondest childhood memories with Raiders.
I just have memories of like sitting watching Indiana Jones whether it's Raiders, certainly it may have been Raiders, but watching Indiana Jones, like I say, just like with the whole family around at Christmas time, or I remember being tiny and like have my parents had people around for dinner, and they were just having grown up dinner chat, and I needed to be kept busy, so they put Indiana Jones on. I just don't know. I just feel like it was a thing that was on,
Right.
just on, and I loved watching it. Whereas Star Wars was sort of something like Star Wars was more of an obsession and like a
Like a kind
I don't know,
favorite kind of like fun,
favorite.
relaxing film, comfort film.
Yeah. Whereas Indiana Jones, I don't know. I feel like it was shown to me rather than just I discovered
Yeah.
it on my own, which I kind of like.
I like that too. I like those films too. Do you think it's because of why did you take to it so well? Was it because of the character? Did you love Indiana Jones himself, or was it just? I just feel like when you watch Spielberg's films, they are the films you were just talking about, but they're just on and they are presented to you, and you can sit and chill regardless of time of year or mood. Spielberg probably has perfected that type of film.
He has, and with the fact that George Lucas created it or co-created it, I think.
Yeah.
I think it has that sort of iconic, imaginative thing that certainly kids can latch on to with the whip and the iconic baddies and the like they're looking for these special treasure. I don't know the way because I watched a lot of Spielbergs as a kid, but I don't think certainly Star Wars and Indiana Jones jump out as things that really captured my imagination.
Yeah, capture
And
your imagination's a good way to put it.
I wanted a hat and
Yeah.
I wanted a whip, and I did get a whip and like
Yeah.
tried to latch onto things, and I wanted a little replica of the Ark. I wanted the things.
Yeah.
It just captured my imagination, and it still does.
Good. I'm kind of the opposite with Raiders and Indiana Jones in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never watched it when I was younger. The first time I've ever seen Indiana Jones was September 2018.
Oh, did I know that? Probably.
Don't know. But I got a movie poster in 2018 for my birthday, and it had it's like one of those ones like a scratch poster.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So there's 100 films, and if you watch the film, you scratch off, and it reveals a wee picture of the film. And I decided, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to review all 100 films on YouTube. For those who don't know, I do a YouTube channel called CM42 TVs, and that's another thing, by the way. There's been movie chat lacking from the YouTube channel, and I think it's having an effect on me. So that's another reason why I wanted to bring back the good bit. So one of the first films I watched from the poster that I wanted to talk about on YouTube was Raiders, because it was like one of those classics, and everybody has them. I don't care who you are, whether you're you're massive film buff or just getting into films or whatever. There are films, regardless of who you are, that you've always heard about and you've always wanted to watch and have been told by others that are great that you have never seen, and you're embarrassed to admit it. And it's one of those ones, I mean, Raiders is one of my ones. I was like, I don't want to tell people I've not seen Indiana Jones. And then it came to 2018 and I was like, it's on this poster. I'm going to watch it. And I'm going to review it for the YouTube channel. And I watched it and I really, really, really enjoyed it. But it's also a film that I'd been told about for the 21 years that I was alive at that point, and told it's this great adventure film. So I'm going in expecting perfection, you know? And if one thing doesn't sit right with me, then it's a negative thing and I didn't enjoy it as much. So I'll tell you something. The second viewing was a big thing, and really did help my enjoyment of the film. It's not that I didn't enjoy it the first time, but
you'd seen it before, you came in with a different.
I knew exactly what to expect this time. I didn't have my expectations through the roof as if this is going to be my new favorite film like I did the first time, you know. And I wasn't presented that as a youngster when I was young. I was presented things like Shrek and Toy Story and things like that. Even Star Wars. I didn't get into Star Wars till 2005 because it was the year that Revenge of the Sith came out. And I was out playing in the street with all my friends and they were all talking about Star Wars. So I then went in and said to my dad, I want to watch Star Wars.
Right.
So even that wasn't presented to me, if you will. Whereas I feel like if Indiana Jones was presented to me at a young age, it would have been the coolest thing ever because he is so cool. And he is Harrison Ford. You know,
he is Harrison Ford after all.
There's something about him and there's something about the character that is just cool. You want to be with him. You want to be like him as well. You want to be with him. You want to be with him. I meant like along for the ride, but I would also like to be with him. He's just cool, and the way the film is made, as I was talking about, that Spielberg style of film, is made for all ages, you know? So when a child watches some of these shots, you know, like the bit where Miriam is in the bar and he walks in and it's just a shadow on the wall, or when they find that ark thing and they start digging to go put the staff into, and like the sun is coming down and all like the kind of slaves are helping him dig and he's just standing there with a hat on. Shots like that are iconic shots in cinema are put there because we want to make a great film, but also put there on purpose because it's going to capture imaginations, like you said.
Lots of things about the film when I viewed it, because I hadn't seen it in a while, surprised me, and I had a different perspective on them. That being this recent thing of seeing things that were made a while ago and going, well, I'm not sure they could do that today.
Yep.
And also just sort of the tone of it being slightly different to what I remembered. Like certainly in the opening sequence is just not what I had in my brain. I just like
Really?
the eerie and the tense opening. I didn't have that in my brain. I felt like I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
I was like, what's this? And then obviously I know the scene of him with the golden
It changes it with the bag and stuff.
With the sand, that's iconic, and the boulder. But that opening sequence, I was shooketh. It was brilliant. I didn't have them in my brain. Don't know what I thought it would open with, but it wasn't.
Sometimes those moments are good though because you forget great moments.
Yeah,
and you go, "Oh my god, this bit is great," and it's like a new appreciation.
One of the best moments of the film, actually. That opening, like
Agreed.
just the way it sets it up and the way it keeps Indiana Jones as this mystery until like the 3rd minute. And also, what struck me was the references to other films and other TV shows, which I now know better than Indiana Jones, which I was like, oh, that's what that's from. Like, for example, The Mandalorian. Huge amount of references in the latest season of Mandalorian to that film.
Right.
Like the boulder in the Boba Fett episode coming down. And the car chase when they're on different cars and trying to punch each other off the cars, which happened in the chase, and that happened in the Bill Burr episode of The Mandalorian. So just, I don't know, it makes you appreciate it more because you understand that obviously it's slightly dated, but it's an iconic film. But you realize how groundbreaking the shots and the storytelling was.
Yeah.
Which makes me appreciate it more.
If someone asked me, what's the first thing you think about when you think of Indiana Jones, I would say for the longest time was the boulder scene where he's running away from the boulder. When you watch the film, it's like a 3-second shot.
There's not a lot of it, yeah.
It's not like, here's the bit where the boulder chases him. He's just trying to escape this cave and there happens to be a boulder there.
I know.
You know, the whole scene, as you say, the opening scene, I thought was brilliant. And my favourite part was when there was the big gap and his mate that turns not his mate and steals the thing and runs away. And then like the gate is coming down and he has to get across and he needs to get in that tense moment.
Whip at the last minute.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like surely that should have been a bit more than the boulder.
Yeah.
You know? And also when you talk about the car chase, it's not even a car chase, because you think car chase, think of Fast and Furious. I mean, like, you're talking like on truck the kind of truck chase, and he's like jumping from vehicle to vehicle, and 1 minute you think he's dead, and he's crawled underneath it and come back up. All that stuff. Why is that not talked about more in cinema? Because this is 1981, right? I'm sure Mad Max had done it a bunch.
Oh yeah, it's
and all these other shows and stuff. But like, I mean, Indiana Jones, and it's a Spielberg film, would still be somewhat new for a scene like this, where it's it feels like it's never going to end. So many moving parts, literally, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was brilliant. The fight on the car.
It's bloody impressive.
It's impressive.
And I like the way the baddies are kind of iconic. Like they're not just baddies. Like it just leans into the tropes. I know it's a film for all ages, and I think all films sort of try and make iconic things. But I don't know. I just think it's George Lucas and Spielberg. Like they are the kings of making things iconic. Like the evil Nazi with the thing imprinted on his hand and the glasses, and The guy with the sword who's in it for 1 second, then he gets shot.
That's great, isn't it? I love that bit because I was thinking this is going to be a big fight, a big duel, and it just shoots them. That's brilliant.
Do you know the story behind that? Apparently,
Tell me.
I'm sure you know this.
Probably.
That Harrison had the shits,
Oh, really?
and
I
so
didn't know that.
it originally was a big fight sequence planned out, but he just couldn't be arsed that day, so he just changed the shot, shoot him.
I would argue that the shooting is funnier and more
It's fun-
effective.
and that's why it's kind of iconic shot because it came out of that.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what about Harrison Ford then? What about his performance? Do you think he's amazing?
It's weird. He just is amazing as Harrison Ford, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
one
not
of these
doing
people
anything. He's not doing anything overly different.
No, you don't go and watch a Harrison Ford film for. Ugh, I'm getting another phone call. So sorry.
It's okay, go for it. I'll just wait here and I'll entertain the people once again.
Hello. Sorry, that took ages.
No,
I
it's
was
alright.
not expecting him to call.
It's no big deal. It's important we get these things sorted out.
It's important. Oh, literally every day I sit on my bum and I do not a whole lot that is urgent and requires immediate action. And today, when we've booked a podcast, it's like I work in some sort of office.
We've booked a podcast. We are in the calendar and the diary.
Yeah, wow, absolutely. You can, I don't know how you can edit this, but
I don't know, but you were saying right before you got the call that Harrison Ford is really good at being Harrison Ford. Talk about that.
yeah, it was sort of a concept that was introduced to us probably actually by Fran. I remember. Fran, he spoke about like
Who's Fran for the listeners?
Fran is one of the first acting lecturers that me and Chris both
Yeah, ex-director, if you will.
ex-director, ex-teacher.
He still is a director, but he used to be a director to us. Yes.
Yes. I'd never really thought about this concept before 2016. But some actors are good at doing a certain thing, and you could say play themselves, and they make a lot of money and are very successful doing that very thing. And some actors are sort of, I don't know what you call them, actors, and they want to, or they get the opportunity to transform, and people want to see them flex their, acting muscles, and that's what they are for. For example, maybe the extreme side, it's someone like Daniel Day-Lewis or
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly. Joaquin Phoenix, the Oscar winners, essentially.
Right, yeah.
But there's a brand of actor, like the Harrison Ford or the
Sam Jackson.
Well, yes, to a lesser extent, Sam Jackson, or like
I know what you mean, though. Yeah, but I mean, I don't
like
think there's anything wrong with that thing either.
Owen
I mean,
Wilson.
Look at Owen Wilson, Tom Cruise.
But yeah, Harrison Ford. He's not a Meryl Streep.
Right.
Yet he
I
is.
talked to you about something. Remind me to come back to Meryl Streep in a minute.
Okay, I will. He is. I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was the highest paid actor this year or last year, but then the year before that, or 2 years before that, it was Harrison Ford, and he is one of the most iconic actors of his generation. But he is that for doing Harrison Ford very well. I mean,
Yes.
a Han Solo is an Indiana Jones. Come on.
You say that again?
Han Solo is Indiana Jones.
Right. I thought you said that isn't Indiana Jones. Yes. And what other
Except-
characters does he play? He's in lots of sort of smaller films where he's Indiana Jones type with a Harrison Ford attitude, but maybe a criminal or in an office or something like that.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean by that.
Very
good at that.
He just does it very well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I did think about this film? Not that it really matters because it's Indiana Jones and there's whips and treasures, but you don't really, as an actual film, obviously there's two more and it's a franchise that's kind of iconic and built itself up. But in that actual film, you don't really get much in-depth look at the actual characters at all.
Or story.
Or story. It kind of has an odd pacing to it at points where
It does.
I kind of feel like I've missed bits, but I haven't.
Yes, I totally agree with that, and I feel like it hurts the film a little bit because I feel like if it was say the film was a bit longer and there was some more in-depth storytelling and that sort of thing, would this film be as more revered as it is now? I don't know. I do think there is parts where it's like it's not that I don't know what's going on, but I feel like we are just watching it happen. We're not really invested in him. We don't really know who's going to find this ark of the covenant or whatever it is. We don't know if he's going to do it. We're just kind of watching it all play out in front of us, and that's fine because that's a lot of fun and it's easy to watch.
But I don't see like I'm seeing the film through anyone's eyes.
Right.
You know what I mean? How, you know, who is the audience in that film? Because I know Indiana Jones is sort of experiencing it all with us, but I don't know. Yeah, I just felt a bit removed from the character, which I didn't expect to feel.
Yeah. When you were on the phone there, I was looking at the IMDb trivia things, and we were talking about the truck chase scene.
Yeah.
It took 5 weeks to film that one scene, and it's a 6-minute scene. So it just shows you, like, I wonder if it would take 5 weeks nowadays with all the special effects and that sort of thing. But obviously, it was such a big thing being on location and that sort of thing in the early 80s. And I read another thing as well that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were just dying out in Tunisia where it was shot. And the only thing that kept them going was the fact that the director of Lawrence of Arabia spent more weeks out there at 54 years of old on location the whole time. So they were just like, oh, he did it for Lawrence of Arabia. We have to do it. We'll be fine. And that kind of got them through it. But you can imagine them sitting there for 5 weeks filming a 6-minute scene in Tunisia. Oh, my God.
Cars and dust and fumes and...
Brutal. Yeah. So it's a classic film. It's a great film. It's one of those ones that, as you say, can always be put on. Any other, like, standout moments that you loved? Any moments that you always look at and go, oh, that's one of those classic moments or whatever?
I found myself sort of expecting and searching for moments that I now realize are in the other two films.
Oh, really?
Because I don't
I've never seen the other two.
You serious?
Yes. I told you this is my second time watching this film.
I didn't realize you actually hadn't gone on to see the other.
No. But that's a good thing. We can do it on the show.
Maybe. I feel like that should be one of the first things we do when we can see each other in person. We should have an Indiana Jones marathon.
Sure.
But I don't know, like, with other trilogies, I'm savvy with which films are considered the better ones and which ones are sort of the letdown. But I don't know the Indiana Jones trilogy as in depth enough. It's sort of just a nostalgic child thing. Okay. I don't know them in depth enough to know what happens in each film. I just they're just a mishmash together in my mind. Like, yeah. So I was like waiting for the bits where they eat monkey brain. And that's a great scene that's in my mind, but obviously it's in another film. Right. And I was waiting for the bit where someone takes someone's heart out.
Oh,
spoiler. Must be in another film. So yeah, I've kind of realized that's what Indiana Jones is to me in my memory. It's just a big mishmash of all three films nostalgically floating around my brain, not the individual films.
That's interesting. Yep. When I first watched the film in 2018, the scene right after the first sequence where he's like back at his work and all the teenage girls, what was that like? All the teenage girls all fancied him, and they're all sitting there like that, and then there's a girl who's painted "Love You" or something like that on her eyelids, and he's so funny when he sees that. He's like still on his words. I just in my head watching Indiana Jones, it was just like, okay, it's this archaeologist and he's running around the desert finding gold, but then it's like, oh no, he's actually like a university lecturer and he has a job, and then there's scenes like in the house and that sort of thing. I just never even put two and two together that there are scenes like that, like actual movie scenes. He's yeah. I just assume it's always going to be in the desert or in the jungle or whatever. And then
he's not a James Bond or a Superman. He's not really got a special. He's not sort of this, Indiana Jones is this special fighter who can...
just a guy.
He's sort of just a dude with a whip who is really lucky.
Well, that's what Spielberg said. He wanted to do a James Bond film, and George Lucas was like, I've got a better idea for you. How about we do this story about this guy? And that's how they developed the character. So it was kind of based on James Bond. He was going to be this great fighter and ended up being the character that it became.
He isn't really... He obviously fights people, but yeah, that isn't something that's sort of a big deal in the film. He's just sort of this. He just sort of gets out of situations, kind of
Yeah,
like
I
Han
mean,
Solo.
he does it with technique, if you will. But a lot of times when he's looking for the arc and that sort of thing, he just lets other people do the work, doesn't he? And then
Yeah,
like he digging the holes in that, then he's the one that goes in and gets all the credit for it.
yeah.
Yeah. I also at the time when I watched it for the first time had no idea this was a war film, and then rewatching it the other day, I was like, oh yeah, this is a war film. Set in World
I
War Two,
thought that
talking
as
about the
well
Nazis.
because the third film definitely is a war film because it's, as far as I remember, all about the Nazis.
Oh really? I thought there's not like a significant time jump or anything by the third film.
No, the third film. The third film has got him and his dad is Sean Connery,
Ah
Indiana
yes,
Jones' dad.
I would have seen clips and that's and heard
Clips.
moments. Yeah.
But the thing I watched it on YouTube the other day. Like a thing that I really remember about Indiana Jones was the intro to, I think it must be the second film, which is just a big musical number of all these people singing "Anything Goes." And half of it is in Japanese, and it's
Really?
just like awesome. And I remember that as an epic movie intro, and such a contrast to the first film, which I now know is
Big
now in one film.
contrast. Yeah. Would that rank in some of your favourite movie intros of all time?
That intro to Indiana Jones, yes.
Because we talked about that on one episode years ago now, clearly. The importance of a great opening title sequence or something like that.
Mm.
What film was it we watched and it was just a brilliant opening and we were like, God, what has happened to that in cinema?
I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had a great opening.
Didn't have a great opening. We should always
Was it
go back
that?
to that film. That's such a gem of a film for us. We love that film.
I know. I feel like that's where we left off in terms of reviewing films.
Yeah, it is.
It's been such a time.
Have you ever seen the Rocky films?
No.
I recently did a whole Rocky kick, late 2020, because I saw the last film I saw at a cinema was the first Rocky film.
Right.
Not back in 1976. They showed them again, and I fell in love with the films all over again. I'd seen them when I was younger, but not really sat down and watched them. I hadn't seen all of them. There's 6 of them. So I have the box set on Blu-ray, so I watched the whole thing, and I've decided that Rocky 3 has the best, or one of my favourite, I should say favourite, not best, probably my favourite opening sequence music video montage in my life, I think, I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's to Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. And it's like the montage of him training and being famous and that sort of thing. And he's preparing
And that's
for
the
Mr.
opening
T.
sequence.
Opening sequence of Rocky 3, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A future film we're going to talk about on the show.
Oh, is it? Have you keyed up things? I'm just going off.
I've not keyed off anything, but I'm thinking in my head they're probably going to come up.
I'm just going to look now at which of the Indiana Joneses is best rated.
Okay.
Like, because so Raiders of the Lost Ark has 85 Metascore, which is pretty strong.
That is very, very strong.
Where's the next one? Last Crusade, which is the last one, has 65. Oh dear.
Still good though.
Still good. Didn't like that as much. Not as epic, apparently. And Temple of Doom has 57.
Oh, the second one's rated the worst.
So the first one is the best film, according to the critics.
Well, I'm very interested to watch the other ones now that we've talked about this.
You should. Well, I have a lot of memories from all of them, as we have discovered.
Well, the film made $389 million worldwide at the time. Opening weekend in America made $8 million. So I'm assuming that's quite successful for 1981. Because the records didn't come until the late 2010s or mid 2010s. So back then, I'm assuming that was a big deal.
Yeah, money, I'm not sure what it was worth.
Yeah, I liked it.
This film in 1939 made $1,000.
Amazing.
Broke the
That
record.
would be a big thing. Yeah. All right. Well, any last words on Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, before we finish up? And this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to have shorter episodes, just chatting about the film, plus the usual great small talk and banter that you can expect with us too.
Yeah, we're getting back into it. It's coming slowly but surely for me.
Yes, we have to find the rhythm again, but we're getting there.
I've forgot who this guy is across the microphone. Who's this guy, Chris? How does he tick?
I'm not across the microphone. I'm literally across the country.
Yeah, across the country, or at the other
I'm
side of the
across the
country.
country. You're in Perth. I'm in Glasgow.
East Coast, West Coast, I don't know.
Same thing.
Any last thoughts on Indiana Jones?
Last thought.
Great.
And what does the film mean to you?
The film means to me a lot of nostalgia, which is kind of one of the themes of sort of lockdown for me. It's nostalgia, looking back. It's been a period in my life anyway, and probably a lot of other people's lives, where you do a lot of looking back, considering, there's not a whole lot of new memories being made these days. Do you know what I mean? So it's a nostalgic film for me. It's not a film that I think. I don't want to say I didn't absolutely love it as much as I remembered.
Yeah.
And I think, as the reasons I've said, is because I sort of smushed every single Indiana Jones film into one sort of memory. But I realize now that I don't think that Raiders of the Lost Ark is a film that I don't think it's the film that I watched most, because I didn't actually remember. I remembered the iconic bits, and I obviously did watch it, but I have stronger memories of other things that must have happened in the other two.
Okay.
So that's what I was feeling most of the time.
Yeah. I can't say that this is now, because I've watched it now and we've talked about it, it's on my top 20 favourite movies of all time list. There's nowhere near it because I didn't have that connection with it, It's a great film.
Films like these.
Absolutely. Blockbusters and that sort of thing. You need to have some sort of connection and sentimental.
Otherwise, it's just another film.
Just another film.
It's not, like, yeah. You're about to see Paul, and he thinks I'm a terrible movie buff because I like Birdman and Phantom Thread. But just tell him I've fallen off the wagon and now I watch trash TV, so you should be pleased.
Yeah, well, he's got no leg to stand on because he doesn't watch any films. Ever, really.
What's his favourite film? Do we know?
Step Brothers.
Right, okay. I have nothing to say there.
Right, okay. Step Brothers or Borat, probably. I don't know.
Borat is his favourite film. Come on.
It's very funny. Did you see the second one?
No, I didn't.
I
haven't watched films.
Classic. Right, what I need you to do before we go and for the next episode, I need you to make a list of films that you want to talk about. And I will do the same, and we'll report back, and then we'll make a list of things. You want me to choose a film right now for the next episode?
Yeah, go on.
So it's my choice.
You can choose right now, and you don't have to pick the one that we decided.
I know, but I'm thinking because we're now back at the first few episodes should be big films.
Well, listen, the floor is yours.
All right, I'll make a decision now. Next film, Jurassic Park.
Okay, you've made that decision.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's one of your least favourite films, I know that.
That's not true whatsoever.
Well, you said it. You're on record.
I said that 4 years ago.
Wow.
Done a lot of growing and developing in that time, literally and figuratively.
Oh, okay. So you've moved on from that opinion, have you?
I was very much under the opinion of, like, the way I talked about Indiana Jones at the start of the episode, where it was like I was told this is the greatest film ever made, and I watched
so you
it.
were slightly let down. Yeah.
Just dinosaurs. Whereas now, as my film tastes have developed, and I've been through drama school, and I've become a better person and all that stuff, now you watch Jurassic Park, and I'm seeing all these great moments and developments in cinema and achievements in cinema. Now when I'm going to watch it this week, I bet I'll love it.
I bet you will as well.
Yeah, I'm going to chat about it next week.
I will also watch it, even though I think I've watched it in 2020. I watched it reasonably recently. I'm a big fan.
Film.
No. This is the film.
Okay.
You want to watch it? I will watch it too.
Okay.
One thing before we go, I'll make a bold statement. One film from the 80s that I also watched reasonably recently and that was hyped up to be the greatest thing ever, and I sort of thought, it's fine. What do you think it is? Take a stab. I've probably spoken to you about it.
You've spoken to me about it?
Probably.
I don't know then, because I was going to say E.T., but I think that's the 70s.
I think that's 80s, but I've seen that.
Okay, tell me.
Back to the Future.
Okay, no, we've not spoken about this because I recently watched Back to the Future and I loved it more than ever.
Oh, wow. But did you have a childhood connection to it?
Not really. Not a childhood connection. Not a childhood connection. A connection from my youth, but not childhood.
I had no connection, never seen it. And I thought it was fine.
Oh my God, it's amazing. You need to watch it 3 times. And
Right.
then
Well,
on your third viewing, you'll be like, this is genius.
I'm sure
It's genius.
it was clever, but I didn't have any feelings.
Right, I get you. That'll come. Just like me with Jurassic Park.
Do you,
Yeah.
do you think you'll have feelings?
I don't know. We'll see this week. The thing I was going to talk to you about Meryl Streep, you didn't remind me
Oh,
about.
go on. Sorry, Mel
I
Streep.
watched August Osage County this week.
Oh,
Not this week. Last month or something.
how long have you had that in the Kling film? Not Kling film, in the wrapper.
Yeah. Well,
and not.
we talked about it in 2016 on one of the very first episodes, and you said it's one of your top 10 favorite movies ever.
Oh gosh, did I?
So yeah, I was like number 6 in your top 10 or something.
Right.
So I went to Poundland one day and I saw it and I went, I'm going to buy that film because Aron said it's one of the greatest films ever made. And I bought it and
God.
it sat on the shelf at the A section at the top of the shelf for years.
Yep.
And I now I'm running out of space of movies, so I'm like, right, I need to watch some of these and I can decide.
Put some in the
whether or not-
bin.
Yeah, decide whether or not I want to get rid of them or keep them or whatever. So I watched August Osage County and I really enjoyed it.
All right.
It wasn't one of the greatest films ever made.
No, I'm sure I was hyped up on Meryl Streep at the time.
It was a Meryl Streep kick.
What did you liked it?
Yeah.
She's brilliant in that film.
I love your obsession with her.
I was that was really the beginning of my obsession. I
Was it
think I
really?
watched that film and went, how has she done that?
I thought it was great, and I love Ewan McGregor. And is it Sandra Bullock? Not Sandra Bullock. Who is that?
No,
It's her. Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts.
She was great too.
She's very good in that film. Yes.
It was a very good film. I don't think it's going to be one that I keep in the collection though, because the collection is
Did it not make the
full of
cut?
classics that I love and would happily watch at any moment of any day. I can't have August Osage County in that list.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it was good. I really enjoyed it, and if anyone ever brings it up in the future,
It's
I will say
amazing,
it's really good. And I would recommend.
Amazing writing.
Very good.
amazing, right?
It was felt like a play I was watching.
It was written by is his name Tracy Letts? Yeah, Tracy Letts, who is the dad in Lady Bird.
Okay, now that's a good film.
He's also in Little Woman, the new one that just
Okay.
came out.
Not seen it.
Who is he? Yes, I'm pretty sure he's someone's husband. But yeah, he's a good actor as well.
Okay, noted. Well, I have to get out of here, but this has been a pleasure
Oh,
getting back on the wagon.
Paul,
Yeah, I need to go see him. Going to go for a walk and out in the daylight, socially distant.
get him on the wagon as well.
I will. I'll have no hope there, but I'll try.
Yeah,
It was
try.
lovely getting back on to the good bit, and tune in next time as we chat about another Spielberg classic from 1993, Jurassic Park.
Good Bit Season 2. Stay safe.
Stay safe out there, everybody.
Citizens